installing everything electric. Induction, induction cook stove, cooktop there, DC refrigerator. While that's nice, it seems to work very well. That's pretty cool.
One sec.
See.
Well, yeah, it would be nice to have a dual refrigerator, one that works on propane and electric, so we're not just depending on the solar system and the wind turbine as well, but mainly the solar.
Yeah. Yeah. What would be ideal would be one that is DC and propane, not AC. I don't think they make those.
Isn't our fridge DC?
Yes. But the one we had is AC and propane.
Oh, gotcha.
The Norcolds are AC and propane.
Okay, so our fridge is DC.
Yes, only.
But
and it does tend to, once it starts to get empty, it tends to just run and run and run. Like any fridge will.
It starts to get a buildup of frost, so it has to be defrosted as soon as there's not a lot of stuff. When it's toward the end of the month and we need to go shopping, it starts to freeze up, and then it just runs a lot. And
it runs constantly.
Yeah.
And so, during the course of a night, that can really run your batteries into the ground. That's the only thing with that.
And with the stove, we had a really nice, barely used propane stove when we got the motorhome, and we just pulled it out and put in a nice flat induction stove because I thought, well, I won't have to, clean down in the burners ever again. It'll just be this nice flat induction stove. And I really enjoyed that stove, although it's not as nice as having a flame stove.
Yeah, it's very weak. Any kind of a stove needs to really be 220 volt to have some oomph to it. So, 115 volt, not so much.
And it really only can be used during a sunshiny day, which, we didn't realize when we had, electrical appliances put in. The oven is an electrical convection oven, and of course the induction stovetop. So I just didn't realize, we didn't realize that we wouldn't have the energy for that at night when there's no more solar. We just assumed that batteries just hang on to all that energy, and they do to a certain extent, but those are high energy items. So they pull down. It's just like turning on the electric side of the water heater. The water heater is propane or electric. If you flip
the
on
oven's
that,
even more. It's like 15 amps just to run that alone. So, that's 150 amps off the batteries all at once. So that really, that takes them down in a hurry.
We had a really nice generator on board when we purchased this motorhome, and we just pulled that out.
Onan 5.5. It ran everything. Basically, you have 50 amps at that point.
We needed room for the battery bank, and we didn't figure we would need a generator. We thought, well, we'll just do everything on solar, and it's really just not possible or something. I don't know. It's not. And we had an idea that we would be able to do more with the solar and not have to run a generator at all. And so since just this last fall, we did purchase a generator. It's a loud
contractor type,
and
but it's dual fuel, so we don't have to haul gasoline around. That was a real selling point there. The same kind of generator, its quiet counterpart is $1,000 right off the bat.
And this one was 500 something, so.
That was only 350.
350. Oh, that was 5 something.
Nope.
Oh, okay.
So that worked out okay. It's noisy, but it works well. It works very well. If you're gonna have solar put on, make sure they tilt. That's very important, especially here in North America. The sun is going to get really low, right? So you got a flat solar panel and the sun's coming in at an angle like this, you're going to miss out on a lot of power. A lot of power.
Now, when we originally went to Johnson RV and Sandy, they claimed that they were experts in installing solar systems, and Mike's back and physical health just was not where it needed to be to do any installation himself. And at the time we were living in the suburbs of Portland, and you're just not allowed to work on motorhomes.
Nope.
There was no place to work on. We had no shop. So we trusted this place out in Sandy, Oregon, and they put in a sliding system. We told them we wanted some sort of sliding system and flexible panels on the bottom, yep. And then all the sliders come out.
A dual layer thing.
Yeah, a dual layer system. And at first that worked really well, but then 6 months later the Renogy flexible panels stopped working. Now they did refund our money for those. Yeah. There was a recall on them, and
they apparently set coaches on fire. And still to this day, there's like a little grid pattern in the paint of our roof. Luckily, our roof is metal, so.
But the mistake was that the sliders do slide out, but then none of the panels tilt.
Yeah.
So that was a really super necessary thing. And Mike has since made 2 of them tilt. Yeah. And is working on it. But just no, that was a big mistake. We just, it's a newbie thing. We didn't know anything about solar other than what we'd watched on YouTube, and no one seemed to be tilting their panels back then. This was 4 years ago, and no one had sliders. No one had a system like we did.
Nobody had a super solar rig at all that I could see,
And we had 15 solar panels at the time, and that did a lot better when we had the flexible panels on that. It did work a lot better than what we have now. Now we have the 5 Solar World panels, which brings us to
1900 watts. I have 1900 watts right now. If you want to see the full system in action, we did a little bit of that on one of our Crater Lake videos. And that was in July, so the sun was up high, and we were running both of our air conditioners all afternoon on just the solar. So, it was pulling in 80, 90 amps at 24 volts.
But again, during the sunshiny day, once the sun goes down, we just had the newbie idea, of course, that the batteries then take over, and you've got all this battery power. And if you had a huge amount of batteries, that would work. But we have, 8 batteries?
8 250 amp hour batteries are 6 volt, and they are configured for 24 volts. So really, we have 2,000 amp hours worth of batteries, but we only get 500 amp hours usable because, of course, it's all configured for 24 volt.
So those run out really fast.
Yeah.
And fortunately, it does run our fridge all night long, and so it's not just dropping our system or anything, but it doesn't allow us to use the stove at night. We use the computers and the refrigerator, and maybe something small like the coffee grinder or something like that, but not the stove, not the oven, not the electric water heater.
Nope.
Not the egg cooker.
Nope.
Nothing that uses heat. Definitely not the indoor heater.
Oh no.
And
space heater, no. That's that pulls 13 amps right there. So
we're super glad that we do have the propane furnace, and Mike replaced the furnace motor, so it does work again.
Yay.
And our little Procom heater.
Yep.
Which can't see on camera, but that saved us for a long time until we got the furnace fixed. Good job on that, by the way, Mike.
Yay, no more squealing furnace motor.
Trusting in the flexible panels was actually number 3. We just kind of breezed by that one. Don't trust flexible panels.
The technology isn't that great. The solid panels have far longer warranties and whatnot. Those Renogy panels were only warranted for 5 years anyway, so that was kind of a red flag right there. But I needed something that would go under the big panels, and there really wasn't anything thin enough to do that with, so it was an experiment that didn't work out all that great. Oh well.
Which, it would have if the technology was there on the flexible panels, but they can't be trusted to continue beyond 6 months.
It's not those Renogy ones. In fact, they had a recall on those. So.
Yeah. So if anyone out there has a really good experience with their flexible panels, let us know, because we can still install some flexible panels.
Yep.
When we're in high summer sun or in an area where the sun is up overhead, we can still use the slider system without tilting the panels, because the second the panels are tilted, then they would be shading
everything.
They'd be shading the flexible panels anyway, so that really wouldn't work. And we've got some ideas about kind of retrofitting an awning made of solar panels in. We've seen a couple of rigs like that, and that would work, because our awning has been missing ever since that horrible storm in Newport.
Yeah, Newport just ripped it right off.
Yeah.
It was stowed too. I mean, it wasn't like out or anything.
We've never used it.
Never been used, and gone.
Ripped it right off.
Yep.
And then our final mistake, the top one, I guess I'd have to put that at number 1 as the top mistake, is trusting Johnson RV or any place that tells you that they are experts in installing solar systems on RVs. Check them out.
What did he say he was going to put his solar guru on it? Solar guru. No.
It turns out that's the
no.
solar guru's very first and experimental stab at putting solar stuff in. And honestly, the kid did his best.
Yeah. He tried.
He spent more time on the knife holder, which we didn't ask for, than he did on just about anything else. He made it out of wood and everything. He did his best.
Yeah, he did.
He really did. It's not his fault. But check him out. Ask for some examples of systems they've put in before, or just ask around other solar people that are happy with their systems. Who did you use, or do it yourself?
That'd be the best thing. Find the information. It's all over. If you have a computer, there's all the information. It's all there. And find a place where you can do it at, yourself. That way you put your hands on it. You know how it's connected. You know what it's hooked to and how it's hooked. So.
And if you just don't have the skills for that, then certainly check out the place that you're having the work done, and keep an eye on them. They were not in Portland. They were out of town over in Sandy, so we didn't get out there often enough to check on their work. And when we did, things seemed to be going okay. So it wasn't like...
Remember to get an estimate for every single detail. Every last bit of it must be itemized and estimated before they touch it, before they do any of it.
We loosely agreed on a price and didn't get an estimate from them, and so in the end they were trying to charge us twice as much as we had said, and we just weren't having that, and they didn't get that kind of money out of us anyway. But it didn't go well. We had to really kind of strong arm them and threaten lawyers and things, and they did cave. But we were just blessed to have that happen, that they caved.
It was a horrible experience all around.
Horrible experience. Johnson RV in Sandy, Oregon. They were just...
Don't go there. Don't go near it. Avoid them like the plague.
But there are some good things that we did, and I really want to wrap up the video on some positives. There are 3 top good things that we did, and the number 1 good thing that we did was that we chose Solar World panels.
Yes. Infinitely happy with those. They're hard to get now as far as like single panels. They seem to only ship them in whole pallets because major cities use them, and these huge solar farms use them because they are the best. They're the best that there is.
Now, the one on the front that Johnson RV didn't install right blew off on the freeway.
Yeah.
And thank God it didn't hit anybody. It didn't hit any cars. It blew off into the bush somewhere and we couldn't find it.
They basically glued it down.
Yeah. But when we wanted to replace that one, we found a place in Los Angeles that would sell them individually, but the shipping was going to be about $400 just to ship from Los Angeles over here to Quartzsite.
Yeah.
And or no, we were in Kingman at the time.
Yeah. $400 bucks.
So we drove into LA and we ended up buying 2 of them.
Yippers.
And one has since broken, blew over in the wind and just cracked. And the other one Mike has put up on the roof and replaced the first one, but it's really down tight.
Yeah, it's much closer. It's not on a slider anymore because, of course, the slider was ripped off and disappeared with the one that was there originally.
Yeah, the whole slider came off.
Gone.
Yeah. Okay, so number 2.
Number 2. The charge controllers that I got for this thing are Morningstar MPPT 60s. They are awesome. They are just bulletproof. Can't say enough good about them because they rock. 60 amps a piece. I mean, you know, I got 2 of them because there was going to be one for the large panels and one for the small panels. That worked out well. Now I have them all. I can have them all hooked to one, and then you know, there's another project in the works, which will be another video, so stay tuned for that. I can't say enough about them, man. They're 4-stage charge. I mean, state-of-the-art things. They haven't been surpassed. There isn't anything better that I can see, you know.
And the third thing that we did that was really great for the whole solar system was to head to a sunny climate to make our home in Arizona.
Yep.
Which
desert.
For the last 3 years, our voting home has been Quartzsite, Arizona, and we spend the vast majority of our time in Arizona.
Yep.
So we are Arizona residents. All of our license plates are Arizona. We register our vehicles in Arizona, and you know, there's just so many sunshiny days here, and it's been kind of weird lately, but we did get our final piece to the puzzle that has helped us through all this. We replaced the generator, right? And now we have a battery, an industrial battery charger. And so when the days are really dark, now we can actually charge up the batteries, because the generator doesn't charge up the batteries. No. It just gives us AC power.
Yep.
And so if it's dark and if it isn't windy, right, there's nothing charging the batteries. And when those get too low, over time, they'll just stop
damage
working.
Them. Yep.
They'll stop taking a charge, and we don't want to have to replace the batteries anytime soon.
Those are $300 a piece, because they're AGMs, and those aren't cheap. You know?
Not as bad as lithium, though, as I understand it.
No, lithium is, good Lord.
Yeah.
Those would be, you know, $2,000 a piece if they were lithiums, easily, or more.
And there it is. That's the top 5 things that we made a mistake on, and the top 3 things that we didn't.
Yeah, right.
Okay.